One, top of the day to you all. We're staying in the light. Let me get a little light over here. Is that better? Yes. Okay. We're going to talk about the changes, the turning point in history, because I've lived through a few of them. We're going to talk about them, okay? But I want to first thank you all who've been diligent and following me. Been a few years now, supporting me with your subscriptions, your inputs. I can say you're my family. We feel like family because we have the same ideology. We think mostly along the same line, but we have discussion where we disagree. Hey, that's what family do. Now I'll talk about the turning points in history that's happening, and you should be happy about it. I don't know why anybody would be sad about what's happening. I'm talking about for our community. I'm sure other communities have their issues. I'm speaking about the Moorish community. Well, some of y'all call yourself black, but I talked about that before. You're not that. That may be a description, but it's not your identity. You may call yourself black, you may love black, but that's not an identity. And you need to find out what your identity is, because it's critical in this time. If you associate with back to Africa, with being from Africa, don't be surprised you find yourself there. But that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the turning points that got me so joyous to make this live video. In the 60s, in our neighborhoods, we had everything we needed, everything in abundance. I was working at a diner, teenager. I knew everybody knew me, had abundance, prosperity, love everywhere you go, to the movie show, park. We didn't see nobody but our people. In my community, I mean, we was our community. Nobody was outside the community have a reason to come there because they had everything they need in their community. So we was living man, that was the best life in my teen years. And what happened is that with this push for integration in the late 60s, our businesses start closing up because the customers was not coming in like they used to. They was going downtown where they had a little more assortment of things, maybe the price the price wasn't cheaper, that's for sure. But they had more assortment, and I think they just liked being seen out in the public. Cause we really had no need to go downtown. That's where all of the businesses was, the central part of the country. Uh, they call it the Centro Comercial in Spanish, and Centre Comercial in French. So we didn't have a need to do that. So when it started leaving, the managers had to close the businesses because the people was going downtown for services. Yeah, that's what started. So I had to go work in other communities outside of my own. And I hated that because those people was, I just never understood them. I never worked for them too long before I was just, you know, having known what real freedom was and love was, I couldn't stay with them too long. I just rotated, man. A few months here, a few months there. There was no bonding with them. So that was a turning point in my life where the community changed. You know, they closed the movie theaters because they had the big, nice looking ones downtown. The people was going to them. So I can say no one closed our communities but us. We didn't know the value of what we had as a community. We didn't treasure it enough. So, forced integration. Now, who's going to like you? Who like any people who was forced into their communities? I wouldn't. If someone told me these people got to come in my community, no matter what you say, I'm not going to treat them very well. So that's what happened for the last 3 or 4 generations. That's what happened. That's what's been happening. So the government said, well, we're going to help y'all out. We're going to give y'all equal opportunities, quota system. You must hire these people. You must, or else. Now remember the reason that we was being hired outside of our community because we had left our communities, left our businesses. I say we. As a community, as a people, we had left everything and then forced to integrate in other people's communities. So the government said, we're going to help you out. We're going to give you a quota system. We're going to give you equal opportunity. We're going to make it a law that you must hire these people. You got to hire them. So begrudgingly, they hired them. You see, government mandating integration. That's not where it's supposed to be. That was wrong, 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 wrong. And those who were born during that time, you may not understand what I'm saying. You talk about Jim Crow and all that. You just believe what you read if you want to. I'm telling you the real history. My community wasn't concerned with Jim Crow because we had everything we need. Everything we needed. Now I was in Texas, now maybe in Mississippi or someplace like that. The reason why they were suffering so because that was the great empire down there, the Confederates. And so when they rebelled down there, man, they want to make sure these people stay on the foot. Like Tar Heels. You know what that means, right? No longer will these Tar Heels be on our foot. In other words, they didn't want Moors to rule. I keep making digressions. So now what's happening now? Okay. After they got rid of the quota system, they got rid of equal opportunity, then they had DEI, what? Diversity, equity, inclusion. That's another gimmick. They say you got to hire these people because they got a certain complexion, and we want you to represent. Nothing was done voluntarily. It's always a mandate, and it's not on qualifications. We don't care if you're qualified or not. You just look a certain way, so we're going to hire you, okay? Now that's wrong, wrong, wrong. So what this administration is doing is saying, hey, I ain't going for that. You should hire people because of their competency. This what Martin Luther King said. He said the content of their character. So if they're competent individuals with moral upright character, yes, you hire them, regardless of their complexion. So what's happening is that a lot of melanated people who call themselves black are going to suffer, maybe for a generation, but we're going to be forced to build our own communities and gain the respect back among ourselves and respect from the world communities. Because every community that I know of, they build their own communities. They're not trying to push anybody to give them anything. I mean, everybody been enslaved. You think white people wasn't enslaved? You haven't done your research. They just don't talk about it and celebrate it because they don't want to return to that state. But you call yourself black, which is a slavery term. This month you be celebrating slavery. So that's all you've had for the last close to 60 years after so-called integration. You had slavery. So now you're being forced to stand on your own 2 feet. Now tell me that's not a turning point in history. I love it. I'm glad I lived to see it. Because all them 60 years, I was just shaking my hand. I said, man, what's wrong with these people? Why are y'all trying to force these people to give you something? Like James Brown said, open up a door, I get it myself. Well, the door's always been open. We just didn't want to unite for some reason. Why? That has been beat out of us, it looked like. Because so much when we united, we was always a lot of terrible things happened to us by being united. But now it's okay. It's okay to unite and be a part of the world community. That's all I have. Hi, is everybody's in the chat? I see y'all in there. Thank you for coming. Yes, I'm a teacher. Can't you tell? That's when I decided to make my contribution is to teaching the youth. Because the parents, I won't say the parents didn't pass the knowledge down that I'm speaking. A lot of them didn't know. Because remember now, far back as you go, who we are as a people, man, that knowledge was taken, destroyed. It wasn't taught. If you wore traditional dress like this, if you spoke another language, so you're gonna pass it. You're gonna pass that to your children? No, you don't want them to be suffered. You don't want them by passing the knowledge. So as a teacher, I was able to reach the young people and teach them an alternative education as far as their Moorish education. I had to sneak it in, put pictures around. And man, they hated me. I'm talking about the school administrators. They kept me out of everything. They slandered me. So after 20 years, I said, well, I'm out of here. Yeah. So I got qualified. I got the degree, then got to the certification, and all that stuff was brainwashing for you to teach a certain way. I never used none of that. No, I used common sense teaching, and I respected the students. They respected me. I had no problem. Matter of fact, I had the best classrooms always. Elementary, junior high, and high school. I taught them all. And they would always wonder, what am I doing? Am I giving them money or prizes or what? So they come in and sit in my classes, and we be serious, but we have fun too. I'm not going to sit in the classroom all day and not have any fun. So they frowned on that. But we was all learning. We was all having a good time. And they hated that. Hated it. I don't know why. And if I had took that on, I probably would have quit. But I'm not a quitter. And they tried everything to get rid of me and false charges. I look back and laugh at it because I don't know why I chose to stay and endure that. Anyway, yeah, I was a teacher. Thank you very much. So that was it. Thank you for your questions. I love you all. And remember, stay in the light. Most time you see a dark screen, I want you to see this light coming through. Okay? Peace to the Moors.